Alrighty, so eventually you'll have a seating chart which will make my ability to take attendance, it'll make it a lot quicker. It'll be more efficient. I might even just make a seating chart, like if this is where you guys seem to be sitting each day, I might just make one sooner, let you pick where you sit, but eventually I'm gonna pick where you sit. We're gonna continue today where we left off yesterday. It's the second day of our adding and subtracting polynomials lecture. We'll get through as I got in my other two classes. I got through pretty much all of it. Would have liked to have gone through a couple more examples, but it was definitely sufficient. But what I wanted to do before then is just again until it becomes second nature to you. I want to go over different little intricacies of the course so that you become less confused and it becomes more second nature to you. So again, what do you see on the screen right now?
The calendar.
Well, yeah, the calendar, but the calendar is located on the e-class page. So the first thing I will direct your attention to for the fourth time this week, and quite possibly the last time this week, is the syllabus and the syllabus receipt form. Yesterday at this time, we had maybe like 52, 51 kids that had filled that out. It's probably even less than that because I was just glancing at it and I see some people click submit twice, so some of those people are doubled up. But let's just say we had 50 kids. As of this morning, there was 82 that had filled it out. And you might think, well, geez, hey, that's progress. Yeah, well, when you consider I have about 150 kids total, that means that just about half of them have filled that out. So I don't know any other way to tell you than just plain English. Tonight's the last night that you have to get that done. It's one grade. And come tomorrow, what am I going to go looking for?
The syllabus receipt.
Yeah, specifically what? What am I going to go looking for tomorrow? What am I searching for tomorrow?
You already signed it.
People that don't have it. I'm going to look for people that don't have it. I'm not going to look for people that do have it. I'm going to look for people that don't have it because those people are going to get their F's already. The people that do have it are not going to get their A yet. They're just going to be promoted to phase 2 of this upgrade, which is going to be the Remind 101 phase, which I have not given you any information. Some people were like, wait, but I don't have a class code. What do you mean? I'll give you another week. Like that's just, yay, you graduated to phase 2, and then I'll give you some more information either tomorrow or at the beginning of next week. And then when all that gets done, then you'll get your A. Any questions? Okay. Next thing I will draw your attention to, I know you saw the calendar. I'm not going to talk about that again, but underneath here, the content library. If you click on week 1, we spent some time already talking about where to find the assignments. But now, I think I mentioned this the first day. I know there was one class where I didn't mention it. It might have been my third period, but on the bottom here, period 7 homework help. This is the first thing I'm going to check each class. You're going to get here, I'm going to click this. And I can see here that nobody is asking me for help because I have no replies. If you do, maybe you're not asking for help just because you know it all. Hey, operations and fractions. Let's review. I've taught long enough to know that, yes, there are people here that do not know how to do operations and fractions, but theoretically, everybody should know how to do that. Maybe that's why you haven't posted. Week 1 assignment. Okay, week 1 assignment. We didn't get through the entire lecture yesterday. But hey, on a good note, I have in my 2 classes today, I've actually found that a lot of the kids already know the stuff that's being taught to them today. Okay, they know how to combine like terms. They've heard of distributive property. So maybe that's the reason why you're not posting. But if you do have a problem that you're working on at home and you have no idea what you're doing and you're completely lost, and you've exhausted every resource that's available to you. What is available to you? My notes, my video, Khan Academy's videos, Khan Academy's hints, and just nothing is working for you and you have no idea what to do, or even if you just want to see me work on it the next day. Click on the thread, click on reply, and then paste the screenshot. Now, if that's the reason why you haven't posted, because you don't know how to take a screenshot, or I don't think you guys know how to take screenshots. You just kind of play dumb when it's convenient. But I've had kids that they just, but I don't know how to take a screenshot. I'd be more than happy to help you. This is probably best done individually. My posted office hours are before school, starting at 6:50. Yeah, 6:50. Or after school by appointment. Today I have a meeting, but like I got a couple kids that said, "Oh, do you mind helping me out with stuff?" I think I have like 2 kids that supposedly are gonna drop by today after school. So I will help you learn how to take a screenshot with a PC, a Mac, an Android, an iPhone, an iPad, you name it. We will find out, show you how to take a screenshot and how to post something there if that's what you want to do. This particular week is a little bit different because we have 2 assignments this week, even though one is due before the other one. Most weeks they're just gonna be one assignment here. You would click on that and you would reply. Any questions there? Madison, where do you find this? Where in class? Distracted. Class, content browser, which you could actually click up here on content, but you could also scroll down to content browser, week 1. That will be there for every week. You're gonna have homework up for week 2, week 3. Yes, DJ.
Yesterday when I was getting on there and I went to the content thing, I clicked on the Khan Academy thing, and then you know he said it doesn't show your name, you have to log in all over again. And he's like, you continue with Google, right? You know, continue with Google. So when I pressed continue with Google, it showed my like actual email, not the like what you wanted.
So then you might need to log out, and then log back in. The other thing that's going on in this class, and look, you know what? I'll even go ahead and show you. So, because I'm telling you, you're gonna get mad at me, and I'm not gonna care. At least as of yesterday, who knows? Maybe this got corrected, but at least as of yesterday, if I look at the class roster, I still have 2 people here that have not changed their name like I showed you how to do in the lab. I'm not gonna go looking to see who those numbers belong to. I want to see names. So until you can get that done, you're not gonna be graded. Yeah, you know who these people are. I don't know who they are. You go up to your name. You go up to your profile. Now, something that I wish hadn't happened, but I know for sure it happened once. But guess what? You know, I'm really happy. I have a student who was having trouble with this. What did I tell you is the best way to get in contact with me?
Email.
By email. It happened last night. I wasn't doing much. Yeah, I don't have much of a life. And guess what? I got the email. And they were having trouble getting on here. And I replied, hey, try this. They replied back, hey, I tried that. It's not working. Hey, I went back. We were like troubleshooting. Emailed them back and forth a few times. She sent me a screenshot. Look, hey, this is what my screen looks like. And I'm clicking this. It's not working. I mean, as far as being an active participant and helping me out and trying to help them, like helping me help them, this person did everything that they possibly could. And we couldn't figure it out, but it was back and forth. And she came this morning and we figured it out pretty quickly. It was a glitch in the program, which is kind of weird because Khan doesn't have too many glitches, but that person wasn't doing anything wrong. It just wasn't recognizing me as their coach for some reason. So in that case, I had to remove them as a student and then add them back as a student, and that's what got it to work. So if that's something that's happening to you, that's something you need to let me know about. But if you're somebody who's going to leave this is due Sunday at 11:59, and Sunday after dinner at 8:30, if you sit down and say, okay, now I'm going to start working on this, and then you start having trouble, there's not going to be much I can do. These are things we want to address now. And it stinks, this person had done the stuff. I had another kid this morning. Actually, you know what? It was 2 students that had the same problem. It's just one I had to help right after class. And yeah, it looks like they're going to have to do it again. But at least they have the time to do it again. So yeah, try doing that first. If you're logged in on that browser under like your own private Gmail account, you might even want to go to the settings of the browser and clear out the cache and the cookies and stuff. But yeah, make sure try to log out of your own personal email and do the G Suite, and then go on to Khan, and then if it still is, then log out and log back in. Any other questions? I saw hands up, stretching. You okay back there? Tapping? No? Okay. So back to E-class then. the next place I want you to see is where it says lectures and notes. How many of you ran home yesterday as fast as the wind and wrote down all the notes as I suggested? So you have your notebooks on your desk now and they're filled, and then that way you don't have to keep up with the sound of my voice. You can just kind of go along with your eyes on the board and write things here or there. It makes life easier. Another thing that this person that emailed me last night did beautifully, and I strongly commend this person, is they went on their e-class, and not only did we have our notes up, but what do you see up here that wasn't here yesterday?
A video.
Yeah, a video. What's that video of?
Algebra.
Yesterday's class, thank you. It's on their Wednesday, August 8th. That is a video of yesterday's class. In this case, it was my second period. It was close between the two of you guys. 7th period and 2nd period, but I got a little bit further with them. That's why I picked them, because I got a little bit further along on the notes than I did with you guys. But that's a video of yesterday's class. And look, this person that was emailing me, I suggested, hey, look, just to make sure you're doing everything right, go refer to yesterday's class where I went over the steps of Khan Academy a little bit, just to make sure you're doing everything right. And so they use this to their benefit. I have another student in another class that's going to be absent tomorrow. He's going on some type of trip or something. But hey, she's been proactive. Hey, mister, look, you sure you're going to post a video? I'm going to take my laptop or tablet, whatever she has, with me on my trip. I just want to make sure that you're going to post it. Yes, I will. Today's class is going to be posted where it says Thursday. There won't be any new notes on under Thursday because we're using the same notes as yesterday. But tomorrow's class, today's class will be on the Thursday. Tomorrow's class will be on the Friday. And if ever you're not sure of something, that's another resource that you can refer to. Any questions there? We're excited? Madison's excited.
Yes.
That's her excited face. Sean's excited too.
Yes.
Okay, so now help remind me, let's see, if memory serves me, we got as far, we did like terms. I want to say did we get to here or no?
No.
We stopped here? Here, like terms? We got through like terms. We got through like terms, yes? So now we started here? Okay, when you are going to give a name to a polynomial, here, let's have an English lesson. Okay, what type of a word is polynomial? A prefix? No.
I'm thinking of poly.
Polynomial is a thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you call a person, place, or thing?
It's
A noun, yes, good. A polynomial is a noun. Okay? But, in some cases, you can make that noun more specific so that you just don't use the prefix poly. There are some prefixes that are more specific. Even before you get to that noun, you can throw in an adjective. An adjective is a word that
describes
a noun. It describes a noun. Okay? So when you name a polynomial, the adjective that you stick in front is going to describe the degree. That we did talk about yesterday. What is the degree of a polynomial? Yeah, John.
The highest exponent.
Fantastic. The biggest exponent. So that adjective is going to allude to the degree. Okay? What is the noun going to do? Well, just describe. It's just polynomial, but if there are sometimes some words that you can say more specific than just saying polynomial. So what are some of the adjectives first? Okay? First one we could use is constant. A constant polynomial has a degree of 0. If you have a degree of 0, you don't have an exponent. If you don't have an exponent, you don't have a variable. A first degree polynomial is known as linear. Linear is an adjective. Describes a noun. A linear polynomial is where the biggest exponent is a 1. Here on this slide, they give you examples of each. Okay. Quadratic. Quadratic's for second degree. Cubic is for third degree. I did not make this slide, but I am in agreement with this slide where after cubic, it is just common nomenclature to say fourth degree, fifth degree. But you are young minds and you're thirsty for knowledge, so just for fun, we'll throw this in there, and if you ever see it, it won't, because who knows where, if you're taking some type of a standardized test, you might see some funky words in there if you want to write this down. Fourth degree polynomials can also be referred to as quartic. Think of like quart as like a quart of milk, or a quart of like a quarter, quart. So quartic, IC. And fifth degrees, quintic, Quintic, quintic. If you see that, that's another way of saying fifth degree, but those words are tongue twisters for me. You're going to hear me say fourth degree and fifth degree. Anything beyond that, if the biggest exponent is a 6th degree, 7th degree, 8th degree, 9th degree, 10th degree, that's all. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I do have the stickers, but the way it's been going today, I doubt I'm going to be able to give them all out, but I will give them some of these out. These are for the attendance, which starts when? Monday, okay, and whatever I don't give out today, I'll give out tomorrow. If I don't get to you today and you want it, I really want a sticker, just stay afterwards and I'll give it to you. John, you like stickers? I like stickers. John likes stickers. Okay. Then these are the nouns. These come after the adjective. So if you have one term, instead of just plainly saying, like generically saying polynomial, you can say monomial, and you can even, but wait, that's a contradiction. Doesn't poly mean more than one, and mono means one? Yeah, typically yes, but not when it comes to polynomials. Even monomials are considered to be polynomials, right? Yes, sir.
In the example, where's that trying?
I'm sorry?
In the example,
Yeah, so like now that you do know the adjectives, if I wanted to give this specific example a name, this is a cubic monomial. Okay? If I have two terms, yeah, it's a polynomial, but more specifically, it's a binomial. Now, this is not in standard form. Why is this not in standard form? You said I got to that, right? So we know what standard form is? Why is this here not in standard form?
Because it's not.
Yes, wait. Lovely. I knew it was like with an L. I knew it. I got it. Lovely. Go ahead.
Because the number of the greatest exponent isn't
good. Yeah, it's not going from greatest to least with exponents, but I can still give it a name. Since the biggest exponent is 3, this is cubic. And there's two terms. This is a binomial. Yes, sir, and that. Trinomials have 3 terms. Anything more than that, now then we just stick to the generic polynomial. But you would say polynomial of 4 terms, polynomial of 5 terms, polynomial of 6 terms, so on and so forth. Yes, sir.
So all the ones that have only one term, those are not considered polynomials?
They are. It's just you can be more specific and call it a monomial. I remember when I was a student, it just bothered me. Like, but that's not why. Like monomial is 1, poly is more. For the purposes of this, a monomial is considered a type of polynomial. You're really thirsty for knowledge, right? It's like, oh, hey, I want to learn and learn and learn, and I want to go home and show off to all my friends everything that I learned, right? If a polynomial is in standard form, which I don't know how much I stressed this yesterday, but just one side note for standard form, you can't have parentheses. I may or may not have mentioned that yesterday. But assuming we're in standard form, which means no parentheses, and as Lovely said, we're going from biggest exponent to least, you cannot have a polynomial. It is impossible to have more than one term higher than the degree. I'll try to break that down for you because I don't know if maybe I'm wording it in a way that you understand. So one more, uno más, one more, right? So if I were to say a cubic polynomial, what are the most amount of terms that a cubic polynomial in standard form can have? Yeah, TJ.
3.
One more. So if cubic is 3,
It's 4.
4, yeah. A cubic polynomial in standard form can have no more than 4 terms. Because if there was more than 4 terms, some of those terms would have to be like and would you combine them. A quadratic polynomial. What's the most amount of terms a quadratic polynomial can have? Yeah, 3, also known as a trinomial. A 11th degree polynomial. What's the most amount of terms you would be able to see there in standard form? You're gonna run out of fingers. It's not 11th degree. You might need a couple toes, but that's okay though. We don't want to work that. How many? 12. Bonus question. A constant polynomial. What's the most amount of terms it could have? Just one, yeah. One. Any questions there? Okay, we're doing good today. So far, I'd say you're beating second period. Let's see if we can catch up to them. This is just a page that recaps that. I don't need to elaborate on this. This is online. If you haven't written it yet, feel free to get on that e-class page. It forces you to get on there. And these are just an example, but there's more examples coming up. I've given you enough verbal examples already. We talk about degree, we talk about number of terms, and I actually have one page here that's designed to just be examples. So let's go over this page. Okay. This is a polynomial. It is not in standard form. So what I want to do with all of these, there's 3 of these on this one page. I want to write it in standard form and then give it a name. So if I want to, how many terms are there here? 2 terms. In order to be in standard form, the biggest exponent needs to go first. Alan, what's the biggest exponent you see? 2, good. So I have to get that entire term. The entire term includes the variable. It includes any number in front of it. That would have to be written first. Because that's negative, the negative needs to stay out in front. But wait, I don't get it. Where did the plus come from?
Because the 5 is a positive.
Yes, if the first term, if you do not see a sign in front of it, is positive. If it's no longer the first term, you need to write the positive. Or Deshaun will get mad. And you don't want to see Deshaun when he gets mad. Now let's give it a name. Since the biggest exponent is 2, what word goes with that? Lovely.
Wait.
Quadratic, good, because there's 2 terms. This is a quadratic binomial. Okay, how many terms are here? 3. Let's first write it in standard form. Biggest exponent is the 2, so x squared comes first, then comes negative 3x, then comes 4. Now let's give it a name though. Deshaun does say cubic, he's correct. And in the back, who's James? Isn't there a James back there?
Yeah.
James? That's going to be a quadratic what?
Trinomial?
Yes, sir. Trinomial. Last example on this page. Mackenzie. What's the biggest exponent you see there? 7, yeah. So that negative 3c to the 7th is going to come first. Then the plus 8c to the 3rd, and then the plus c. Because the 7 is the biggest exponent, Mackenzie, what's the degree there? Good. So you would just say 7th degree. And then Madison Picard, because there's 3 terms, that is a 7th degree. Good. Word. Yes, sir.
So like if it's like this, if both of the exponents are the same, which one goes first? Is it like you just keep the equation?
Well, that's what we're getting to is if both of the exponents are the same and the variables are the same, we're going to be able to combine them, put them together by adding or subtracting. But this is kind of the beginnings of all that. This is the prerequisite to that. And then now we move on to adding and subtracting. Now, what I want to make sure that you understand is that both adding and subtracting fall under the same umbrella. In algebra, we really do not, as far as describing what we're doing, hey, that's more English, okay? What type of words describe what you're doing? Something that you do.
Verbs.
Verbs, good, verbs. Verbs describe what you do. They're do words, right? So when I am doing adding and subtracting in algebra, you can lump them together and call it combining. Now, what do we want to combine? Anybody want to guess? I might have said it yesterday. Like terms, good. But see, look, every single example that I'm going to give you today, we're going to do the same two things. Regardless of whether we are adding or subtracting, we're going to do the same two things. And if you have the notes already in the notebook, that'd be perfect. I love to add these little annotations. I'm excellent with arrows. I'm world renowned with my arrows. I draw arrows on the screen, and you can add them on your paper. It makes life a lot easier. But the first thing we want to do always is to remove parentheses. When we are adding and subtracting polynomials, apologies for my handwriting. It's not easy to write on this board. It moves as you write. But remove parentheses. That's what we're going to do first on every problem today, if we see them. A polynomial in standard form cannot have parentheses. Now, this is an interesting step. Even though I've been pleasantly surprised today, though, it seems like some of you guys are used to this, but typically when I get kids coming out of middle school, the type of math that you're most familiar with is arithmetic. In arithmetic, what you have not been introduced to is that ugly looking thing called a variable, which is an unknown number. So arithmetic mostly revolves around PEMDAS. Have you heard about PEMDAS? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, also known as order of operations. And in PEMDAS, the parentheses tells you, well, hey, do what's inside. And because we haven't gotten into variables yet, you typically can't do what's inside. And you guys learn that, and you stick to it, and you hold on to it, and you never want to let it go. So we get to here, and you say, hey, 2x plus 5, 7x. Nah. Because now we have to worry about like terms. In order to combine like terms, you told me we talked about it yesterday, what has to be true? What makes two terms be like? Same variable and same exponent. So guess what? 2 has an x, 5 doesn't. They cannot be combined. What does combined mean? Added or subtracted. Yes, sir.
So once you have to subtract the 2x and then bring it over to the 7x?
Well, we haven't got to that yet. We're taking baby steps. Okay? So the first thing I want to discuss is, well, if we can't do what's inside, well, then how do we remove the parentheses? This is another place I've been pleasantly surprised.
Isn't it? Well, I can't remember what the term's called.
Some people today ask you.
Distribution? Wait, no.
Yes. Say it again. Is that what you were going to say? Distribute. There's something called the distributive property, which says if I cannot do what's inside the parentheses, I can take any number that's on the outside and multiply it times every number on the inside. What's outside the first parentheses? A 1, but it's invisible. What's outside the second one? A 1, and then you learn these pretty little arrows, and we multiply. And these are all ways to remove parentheses. Now that the parentheses are gone, we can do what we came here to do, which is what all the cool kids are doing nowadays, and that's combining like terms. Just this morning, I was walking down the hallway, and I saw a couple kids there that were writing something on a paper, and I was like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're combining like terms. It's gone viral. Everybody's doing it. You like to combine like terms also, Deshaun?
I do.
So, just for fun here, let's do this example up here. Adding polynomials, okay? 2x plus 5 plus 7x minus 8. You're going to resent this step and you're going to go, this is easy peasy. You know what? These are like 15 seconds of my life that I'll never get back. So you know what? I'm going to skip this next step that Mr. Romero is going to show me. Do it anyways. I'm just warning you, do it anyways. And that's, well, because I'm removing the parentheses by distributive property, and because there's a 1 on the outside, and because distributive property is multiplying, what happens if you multiply anything by 1?
It
Stays the same. So I'm going to end up writing the 2x, the plus 5, plus 7x minus 8. And well, why? I don't have to do that. I can just do it in my head. Okay. What do we get subtraction? And then you're going to make silly mistakes, and you're going to be like, oh, but that's not fair. And I'm going to see, I warned you. Now that we have removed parentheses, this is what we came to do, which is to combine like terms. That's the focus of the lesson, is adding and subtracting. But we can only combine terms that are like. How many total terms do I currently have?
4.
I currently have 4. Now, since I also, while I'm combining, I also want to be arranging in standard form, I'd like to go with my biggest exponents first. So what's the biggest exponent I see?
1.
Alright, so the x to the first, even though I can't see it, these have little 1s there. So yes, I know that when I'm done, I'm going to have an x. How many of them? Well, the only number that actually gets combined are the numbers in front, coefficients. 2 plus 7 is, use your fingers. 9, good. This is not a very long polynomial, but when they do get long, you might want to, I like to say, hey, you know what, I already used you, I used you, so now I remember that I don't have to use them again. Finally, we have those numbers that don't have the variables, also known as constants. Good. Positive 5 minus 8 is
Minus 3.
negative 3. So all the children rejoice because they combine like terms and they realize that this polynomial was the same thing as saying 9x minus 3. Any questions there? Whoa, 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 whoa. Just to let you know, as things start to slow down, and I don't have to be like showing you guys e-class each day, and we have a little bit more time in class, I might ask one of you to come up and do one of these on the board. I might ask you to do this on your paper. Actually, let's do this one here. I'll give you a couple minutes. Start doing this on your paper like if you were doing it on your own. And then I'll give you about a minute, and then I'll do it, and then you can compare and contrast. You look at your paper, you look at my screen. You look at your paper, you look at my screen. And if they're different, we'll figure out why they're different. Yes, sir. You giving me the answer already? Or you're asking me a question? Yes, what's the question? It's going to stay as negative 4. All you're multiplying is the 1. It's the same basically without the parentheses. Okay, just try to resist the temptation of looking up at the board. I'm going to write just the first step, which is what it should look like after you have removed parentheses. Then you can look at your paper, and if it looks any different, we'll investigate as to why it looks different. Go ahead and look up if you finish the first step. Negative 4x squared plus 2x minus 12 plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. Just no parentheses. Yes, sir.
You said minus 2x.
It's my handwriting. Sorry, plus 2x squared. Threw me off. I couldn't read. Plus 12x squared. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, now we want to combine the terms that are like. How many terms do we have in total? 6. If you want to take a little added Q also, I told you that when the biggest exponent is 2, what's the most amount of terms we can have? 3. So if I got 6 now, there has to be some like terms here. Because the most I can have are 3. So the biggest exponent is the 2. When I know I'm going to have x squares, how many have an x squared? 2 of them do. What is negative 4 plus 12? 8. What is 2x minus 3x?
X. Negative X.
Good. Good. I got the same answer this morning in third period. Though somebody tells me negative 1x. And then they say, oh, wait, is that wrong? And that's kind of a loaded question.
It's not wrong.
See, yeah, see, like I'm world renowned for my kindness. So like, if this was the only mistake somebody would make, I'd probably give it to them. But I can tell you, like, Khan Academy will mark you wrong if you do that. So when there is a 1 in front of a variable, when you have a 1 as a coefficient, you never write it. Because what's the number in front of a variable doing? In algebra, when you write two numbers next to each other, they're multiplying. And what's 1 times anything?
1.
Itself. That's why the 1 isn't called for, but the negative is. So those of you that said negative x, you'd be correct. That takes care of the x's. Then negative 12 plus 4.
Minus 8.
It is minus 8. When you combine like terms, what's the only part that's being combined? The coefficients. Be careful, you think that's easy today, but then tomorrow we learn multiplying. There's different rules for that, and you're going to get confused. Yes, sir?
So what I'm doing a lot of is I'm like actually subtracting. So like, you know how it's the 2x percent? So what I'm doing is I'm subtracting with 2x and then go to the other where the 3x's and I am subtracting over there. So that's how my old math teacher does it.
Look, the only thing that I've seen that maybe you might be alluding to, but you're just not describing well, is some teachers teach you to do this step in columns. So like for the like terms part of it, oh, hey, here's a 12x squared. Okay, here's a 12x squared. I'm definitely not going to subtract it because it's positive. Okay, oh, here's a 2x. Here's a negative 3x. Oh, over there's a 4. Okay, so plus 4. And then they just do it in columns. What makes me opposed to that is, guess what? Look here, watch. On this next example, because we're running low on time, once this changes to this, now you're going to be thrown off. Yeah, once we start subtracting. So, I would just caution you. See, these are some extra examples that if I didn't have to do the stuff at the beginning, we would have had time for. But the good news is when we're adding and subtracting, we're doing the same thing. So I can go ahead and skip the subtraction, and we're not going to really miss out on anything. Now let's do this, because I didn't. Actually, you know what? Let's leave this as is. I'm going to leave this as is right here. We're going to do this problem. But I didn't make these slides, but I have a feeling the person that did, this was a typo. And I think here they meant to put a B. But that's fine, we'll just do it as is. So what makes this different is now we actually have 2 variables. When you have 2 different variables, it's impossible to just go in descending order because they're 2 different variables. So now the first thing I still want to do is remove parentheses. And I'm sorry, what's your name? That you just asked me a question?
Nathan.
Nate, okay. So what's outside the first parentheses?
Outside and a 1.
A 1, yeah. So here we're going to stay the same and say 8x to the 4th minus b to the 3rd. But now for the first time, outside of the next parenthesis is a negative. So meaning what's outside is a negative 1. What happens if you multiply any number by a negative?
It becomes a negative.
It does not become a negative. It
Become a positive.
It does not become a
It can
positive.
become either one.
Also, what you're saying is that it changed signs.
Yes.
So now I'm trying to get rid of these parentheses.
That becomes a positive.
Yeah, instead of having a negative 6b to the 4th, I'm going to have a positive 6b to the 4th. Instead of having a positive b to the 3rd, I'm going to have a negative b to the 3rd. And now it's identical to the last 2 examples I gave you.
Oh, is that because it's a subtraction sign?
Correct. When you have a negative outside of a parentheses and you remove that parentheses, every term that drops down will change sign. Okay, now we'll combine like terms again. I think the person who wrote this had the intention of this being a B, but since this doesn't have a B, this can't combine. This just drops down as if it was hot. 8x to the 4th. Okay, and we're not too worried here. When you have two variable expressions, we're not too worried about standard form because that just kind of throws a big wrench into it. But now that we got to the b's, fine, let's go. Look, this 6b to the 4th has nothing like it, so we'll just drop this as well, plus 6b to the 4th. What's negative b to the 3rd minus b to the 3rd?
B to the 3rd.
Yes, Matt. Good. Wow.
Incorrect.
-2. Be careful because people see that and they just want to cancel them. They do not cancel. I'll do one more because I don't want to start giving out a few stickers. Let's do this one here. This will be the last one. So I've given you 4 examples. You can do some more on Khan Academy tonight. If something gets, if you're stuck on something, take a picture of it, post it. And at least this part, what's the assignment that goes with this material? You have 2 assignments this week. What's the assignment that goes with this? Week 1, yeah. Do you have the fraction one? Let's do Sunday. This is week 1, which is at least not due until Tuesday. So we have a little more time with this. So first step, remove parentheses. Nate, what's outside the first parentheses?
There's always a 1.
Well, no, not always a 1, but in this case there's a 1.
Well, in that case, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Because in that case, it would be a -1 for the 7.
And then on the second one, you are correct. But see, I hate an example like this because especially if you're like half paying attention, you're going to get home and look at your notes and you're going to say, well, look, but that negative just causes everything to become negative. Well, no, it's not always just in this case. Because, well, before, every term in the second parentheses was positive. So now, every term is negative. Well, that's just a coincidence. Just change sign. This is a nice problem here to juxtapose with the one right before. Because when I go looking for the biggest exponent, what's the biggest exponent?
4.
The 4, right? And when I combine those, look, they're both x's. So x to the 4th minus x to the 4th.
-2x to the 4th.
No, juxtapose means compare and contrast. No. The last time, they were both negative.
2x.
I added them. No. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, 0.
Oh.
Guys, I want to get through this. What's in front of this x to the 4th?
A 1.
A 1. What's in front of this one?
A -1.
What is 1 minus 1?
0.
I couldn't hear what you said. Is that what you said? You said 0? So, we're not going to write 0x to the 4th. We're just not going to write anything to cancel. Okay, now we go to the x to the 3rd. 6 minus 8 is -2. X to the 3rd. 7x minus, sorry, I did these. And 7x minus 3x is 4x. Any questions there? Okay, we're catching up. At the beginning of the year is a little hectic. We're catching up, so we'll continue to work on the assignments. Take care of the fraction one first, because that's due first. And then make sure you work on these. Any questions, post them. Yes, sir.
So why did you shoot the middle variable? I'm sorry.
I didn't skip a middle variable.
The 7. Oh, you didn't cross it.
I just didn't cross it. Okay, let me start giving out a few of the stickers, and then if I don't get to you, you can either stay